on the News Channel 5 network. This is Score on Business.
Hey, welcome to Score on Business. I'm Pete Hendricks, a serial entrepreneur and your host for today. So many prospective entrepreneurs aren't sure where to start, so we'll have a tip for each show. Also, Score offers low-cost classes and no-charge counseling specifically to guide folks through thinking about starting and succeeding in business. More information is available at scorenashville.org. Make sure to click on the Workshops tab at the top. They're usually a half day on the weekends and they're $25. So, your tip for this show, check out IdeaCon 2017. It will be on March 12th. The purpose of the one-day conference is to help entrepreneurs, founders, and investors to connect with other members of the Tennessee startup community in an exciting and energy-filled afternoon. Use the discount code SCORETV to reduce the ticket cost to $10. Okay, so our first guest today is John Krenson, who has been a successful entrepreneur as well as a high-level military commander. He is currently the Chief Executive Officer at Operation Stand Down, Tennessee. Operation Stand Down is a nonprofit that delivers a variety of services to military veterans. They also run the 12th Avenue Thrift Store, both for job training and for part of the funding need. John, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Pete. Excited to be here.
And I'll say, I have been doing some volunteer things with you all. I'm very impressed with Operation Stand Down. You all do good things.
Well, we appreciate that. And we've got a dynamite team. We've got a very important mission, and having volunteers such as yourself come help us is very valuable to us.
Yeah, well, so tell us about Operation Stand Down Tennessee and the programs and services you offer.
Well, sure. So Operation Stand Down Tennessee is a nonprofit that's been around for 23 years, and we're very proud of that. So we've got a good longevity, a good history to us, and our focus when we first started, was to serve chronically homeless veterans that had fallen through the cracks from the Vietnam War era over a decade plus. And we've continued that mission. We've been very successful with that. In fact, homeless statistics here in Nashville have shown that veteran homelessness has gone down by a fair amount, and we're very proud of that. But our emerging mission is to work with veterans of the new generation just coming back from Iraq, Afghanistan, and to work with them early in their transition so we can prevent homelessness among that generation to begin with.
Right. And I'll tell you, this new generation, the folks that I know, they're sharp.
They are. There's a lot of potential there, and so if we can give them a good, smooth, safe landing, then they just have a world of opportunity ahead of them, and they can be key contributors to our community.
Absolutely. And okay, so tell us about how veterans can engage.
Sure. So veterans can reach us any number of ways. Many times they're referred to us by other nonprofits, or actually even through the VA itself. We are a VA-sponsored and approved service center for veterans. But we have a very accessible location. We're at the corner of 12th Avenue and Edge Hill, right between the Gulch and 12th South. So we're on two major bus routes. We're right off the interstate, and we're near several different universities such as Vanderbilt, Belmont, not too far from Lipscomb. So we're very easy to get to, and that's very key to us. And also our website, so www.osdtn.org is very accessible for folks to connect with us that way as well.
Absolutely, yes. And so in thinking about, one of your team told me that you all can be a one-stop shop. You don't do everything for veterans, but whatever the veteran is facing, you all know who to send them to if it's not what you do.
Exactly. We really look to be the one-stop shop and really the connector for veterans. I mean, our mission statement says that we will better connect veterans and their families with the community. So it's all about connecting veterans to those right resources. And the interesting way to think about it, and the veterans can really relate to this, every military installation of every service around the world has a welcome center on that installation. So when a veteran needs something, whether it's legal services, financial services, or to know about the housing availability in that local community, or about job opportunities for themselves after service, or their spouses or children during service, they can go to that welcome center and get the information they need. Well, Operation Stand Down Tennessee is Nashville's Veteran Welcome Center. So when a veteran shows up in Nashville or finds themselves in Nashville and they say, I'm having difficulty with my VA benefits, or I need to understand better my VA home loan, or I'm struggling with housing and I need to find affordable housing, or I need to upgrade my employment, they can come to our Welcome Center, and either we'll provide the service directly, such as some employment work and housing work and VA claims, or we will connect them to resources such as in the mental health profession without them having to figure out and navigate their way to that. We can connect them directly to who they need to talk to, and we do it with a warm handoff. We don't say, hey, call this number. We actually help make that phone call and make that introduction to ensure they're getting to the right person at the right place.
So when you think about veterans, you know, like any group of people, you kind of run the gamut. Some folks are coming out and they're not in such great shape. There may be, you know, PTSD, or they're, you know, which may lead to substance abuse. You all have a housing program there, or a I don't know, a treatment program, I guess. And then, you know, where there are more folks coming out who are at a professional level, you know, we're doing some things on helping people connect and get professional level jobs. That's part of what we're doing. Then I know you all have a nonprofit that meets there that's specifically for folks with PTSD. Just a lot of things.
We do, and you hit all the right ranges of the services we have. So we refer to our housing program. We have a transitional housing program.
Okay, that's what I was trying to say.
Exactly, yeah, and that's really where our roots are. So that program is designed for veterans who have found themselves through a variety of circumstances in life to be on the streets, and now they're ready to manage their problems and get into permanent housing and permanent livelihood, but they're just not ready to leap right into that.
Right.
So they can come through our transitional housing program, be with other veterans, have a case manager, work through whatever their issues are. And honestly, in the old days when we started this about 17 years ago, those issues were a lot of times drug and alcohol. But now we're seeing less of that, but we're seeing more of they've had an inability to connect in society, so they've self-isolated.
Right.
Or it may be PTS issues. We see quite a bit more of that with this generation. So they can take the time they need in the transitional housing program to get on their feet. We give them financial literacy instruction, so they actually have a savings program that they work on. We help them get jobs and maintain those jobs, and then we help them access the housing. It used to take about 2 years for a veteran to get through that program, but we're finding veterans now that have more of an episode of homelessness and not a chronic lifestyle.
Right.
So it's easier to break those shackles. So a veteran that comes off the streets who's experiencing an initial episode of homelessness, they can get through the program about 6 to 8 months and then not face another homelessness episode again.
You know, and one thing I've learned from you is there's really been a change. You know, the Vietnam era, there were a lot more folks that are down on their luck, but folks coming out of the military today, there's a lot less of the down on your luck, and a lot more highly functional and well trained.
Well, that's exactly right, and that's the golden opportunity, Pete, that we have right now in serving veterans across our community, whether it's Stand Down or other organizations. We have a window right now where we can prevent a repetition of the past after the Vietnam War. If we can intervene early with veterans as they're in transition and get them that smooth, safe landing, they do bring so much to the table. And the key is for a veteran these days, if they can connect early and find a sense of purpose and make a connection early in their civilian life, then they're going to be okay. You know, they may have some future struggles, but they're going to know where to go. They're going to be okay. Whereas if they come out and they can't make that connection, they can't find that purpose, then they start to spiral downward. So the key is intervening early, reaching those veterans early, and get them on that right path.
And you know, one thing I've learned in this process is the veterans come out with very applicable skills for the private sector.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, it's kind of like if they're not on deployment, you know, doing military business, they're planning, which the private sector calls project management.
That's right.
And the government will pay for them to take the project management class and exam. So even though there are things that are different about the military, when you look at any large organization, the basics of how things occur and the jobs to be done, they exist both.
Well, exactly. Veterans understand a few things, and one is they understand that you have a starting point and that you have to have a goal and an end point, and then have a method and to get there, a plan of how to get there. But at the same time, realizing that and this is an old adage from the military, a plan is only as good as the first bullet down range, because then all heck breaks loose.
Right.
But what planning allows you to do is to then understand that, hey, if something goes wrong this way, or we get an outside influence this way, because of our planning, we're better prepared to respond to all those things. It makes us more agile.
Right.
And so a veteran has that. So they understand the importance of discipline and having a plan and all that, but they also understand the need for creativity and agility to adapt yourself to circumstances. Right. And you only get that really from experience. And our veterans have had a lot of that kind of experience.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, before we're out of time here, I want to mention the 12th Avenue Thrift House.
Yes,
Thrift store. I got that wrong.
Exactly.
And so you all would love to have people come and shop, and people are familiar with thrift store, and you'd love to have people come and donate.
Absolutely. The thrift store really is a jobs training program, again, for a lot of these veterans who have been separated from society for a while and dealing with their struggles. Now they're ready to go back to work, but they're not really job ready. So in our job training program, they get used to being in a civilian work environment, dealing with civilian customers. They have a civilian boss. The person who runs our thrift store is actually a civilian. He's not a veteran, and that's partly by design. And so that program is excellent. And the key, we love donations, but we love people to shop there, because if no one's shopping, then the veterans aren't getting the training. And so we really love people to come by and shop and interact with our veterans there.
John, thanks so much for being here.
Pete, thank you. I really appreciate it.